no veas, a Sevilla. Y al último que cuando ya salió la bien de regla.
It is Saturday on Raid Shadow Legends, but you knew that. What I have here today is one of my matches from yesterday's live arena session, which I was not planning on uploading because most of my games were not that interesting, apart from this one. Now, first off, I'd like to clarify that yes, this is a random opponent in live arena ranked during seasons, and what happens here is not a result of any kind of bug or glitch in the game. It's a completely internet interaction, and it starts the moment I see my opponent pick Lady Kimmy here. Now, you either know what Lady Kimmy does or you don't. She's a bit of a forgotten champion nowadays that I believe could use a little bit of a change, but she's very far down the buff list. And I pick both Volcanos Fumor and Calvlax here. Now, Volcanos may seem strange, given the fact that I have no Demon Spawn. However, he still has about 400 accuracy, so he's going to land his debuffs here, regardless. And I knew that when they picked Legate Teox, they either did not know the interaction between Kimmy and Teox and Volcanos, or they were just planning on banning him, and Calvlax may or may not have had any impact on this game, depending on how many opponent's champions were in Stone Skin or Mercurial. But if they were just in Stone Skin, then my opponent had a very nasty surprise waiting for them, because while you may think this is they all get poisoned from Calvlax at the start and just drop dead one after the other. No. But he does play a important role in this in terms of Kimmy passive and Teox passive, which if you don't know what they do, I'll explain after the match. The match, of course, is very short. The shortest possible completed live arena win possible. And Volcanos passive. Now, the loading here does take quite some time, so I'm going to skip through a bit of it. Actually, it's not much longer. But this took so long, I thought the game had crashed, and if it did crash on what I knew was a guaranteed instant win the moment the match starts, I'd have been quite disappointed. Anyway, I think we have a couple more seconds and the match is about to begin. So, here we go. Right, there we go, and there they all go. Just like that. So, first off, let's put that in a slow motion, shall we? In terms of just what happens, and you can see how each passive resolved as it did between Volcanos, Calvlax, Lady Kimmy, and Legate Teox. And then, once we've gone through this slow motion, we can have a little bit of an investigation as to what happened as it did. So, first off, let's look at Calvlax. Calvlax is the most linear part of this. At the start of the round, he puts 4 poison debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns. Right? Okay. Yeah, Calvlax did 0 damage here, so all he did here was put debuffs on them that by themselves would have done nothing. However, next we're going to look over to Volcanos Fumor's passive, Surging Demon Fire. Whenever an enemy receives a buff or has their turn meter increased, has a 50% chance of placing a HP burn debuff on them for 2 turns, and if they already have a HP burn debuff, has a 50% chance to instant activate it instead. 70% with Sniper Mastery 75. So you're probably thinking, hang on, they got no buffs or turn meter increases, so what happened? Next, we are going to look over to Lady Kimmy and her passive. Whenever this champion or an ally receives a debuff, fills their turn meter by 5% for each debuff received. And if we are going off Calvlax at the start, the poisons from Calvlax passive are placed before Stone Skin is added to a champion, so it's still counted as those debuffs being added. They're just instantly removed before they can have any effect, but they still count as being added. Then if we go over to Lizardman for Legate Teox, we will see that he has the same thing. Fills his champion's turn meter by 5% whenever an enemy or an ally receives a debuff. So what happened here was, for both Legate Teox and Lady Kimmy, there was 16 debuffs being counted, so they had 16 instances of their turn meter being filled by 5%. So therefore, Volcano's passive is resolving on all enemies 16 times, in addition to any instances of the HP burn debuff being placed and then detonated and then added again. So everyone just instantly drops to the start from about 24 instances of everyone taking at least 3% max HP in HP burn all at once. And yes. So if the enemy's lair were not in Stone Skin and just took 4 Carvelax poisons, they would have all dropped just as fast. However, the match may not have had a timer of 0 seconds as it did. It may have been longer, but I may have to test that elsewhere. But for this one, it didn't even have a champions being shown as taking a turn each, where they just instantly die at the start of the turn from Carvelax passive. They just all burn down instantly before either player has even had the prompt that is about to take their turn. So there you go. That's the, I believe, possibly an unbeatable world record for the fastest completed on-season, well, random opponent live arena match in the game, as a result of a very unfortunate knowledge check regarding my opponent's pick champions versus what I just so happen to have, and then, you know, who they banned, because, I mean, if they banned Volcanos, they probably had a chance if any of the champions were in Stone Skin, but they weren't, and yeah, there you have it. Nothing more to say in the matter. We're done. See ya. Oh, there we go.